Present.
James Pichard.
Present.
Mike O'Kane.
Here.
Bob Iverson.
Here.
Mike Poor.
Present.
Rick Streebing.
Here.
Sherry Pickering.
Here.
Steve Ludwig.
Present.
Robert Williams.
Present.
Darren York.
Here.
John Cooper.
Here.
14 present.
14 present. We do have a quorum. At this time, we will have the invocation led by Alderwoman Carolyn Wands, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance, led by Vice Chairman Iverson. Please rise.
Lord, I just want to thank you for the past year of 2024 and the blessings that you gave us and the blessings that you gave the city. Lord, we know we don't live in a perfect world, and we can't make it a perfect world, but we know if we live under you that things can be so much better than what we make them. So we ask you to be with our city as we work through 2025. We ask you that we would be grateful for our freedoms, grateful for our homes, our families, our neighbors, and this city, Lord. I ask you that you would be with every citizen that lives within this community. I'd ask you to be with our mayor. I ask you to be with our department heads. Each person that works within the city, Lord, I ask you to be with them. Give us all the encouragement to stand for what is truth, what is good, and what is profitable for you. Let us have one mind and one heart and one goal. And Lord, as aldermen, we stand here in almost a circle. And sometimes this circle isn't as tight as it needs to be. Sometimes there's not the love, the encouragement. Sometimes there's division and what seems to be almost self-serving. Lord, I'd ask that you would give us the hearts of discernment, that you would give us a heart of knowledge, and that you would give us a heart of love, putting others before ourselves. Put away our personal goals, our personal agendas, and let us just live for you and live for what your people have given to us to be, and that's their representative. Lord, may we represent not only them, but may we represent you. Lord, help us to just focus on growing this city, helping it thrive, and doing the best that we know that we can do through you. Help us to remember what our mission is, Lord. That our mission is to serve you, but most of all, Lord, let us not lose focus of serving others. And just now, I want to thank you for all your blessings. And I thank you for each person that stands in this circle. And Lord, may we learn through this year what service is all about. In your name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Alderwoman Wands, for that prayer. I apologize to y'all. I don't know what's happening, but my voice is going on me just a little bit. You have before you the minutes of the December 17th meeting. Is there a motion to approve those?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion or debate? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Thank you. You also have an agenda before you this evening. If there be no objection, I would like to switch items 13 and 14. Would there be a motion to to approve the agenda as amended?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion or debate? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Thank you very much. I do not have any proclamations for you this evening. However, I have several board, committee, and personnel appointments. If there be no objection, I would like to make the appointments by body. The first would be to the Board of Fire and Police Commissioners to appoint Christina Dixon to a term expiring December of 2027, and to reappoint Mr. George Dowell to a term also expiring in December of 27. Is there a motion to concur with those appointments?
Move to concur. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion or debate? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Same sign. Thank you very much. Mr. Dow has done an incredible job for us these many years, and Ms. Dixon will be a great addition to that group. Also, I have appointments to the David S. Palmer Arena, both reappointments. I would entertain a motion to concur with the reappointment of Jacob Daisy to a term expiring in November of 2027, as well as Kim Hoffman for a term expiring in 2027, November 2027. Is there a motion to concur?
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion or debate? Yes, ma'am.
I just have a question, not specifically about these, but I believe that at some point in the past, I can't remember when, we had received a list of all of the boards and agencies and who were the people that were on the boards and their terms. Could we receive an updated list for all of those?
Absolutely. So our clerk compiles that for us every year, a list of all the boards and such for our FOIA directory, and we should have that to you within the next couple of weeks.
Okay, great, thank you.
Thank you very much. All those in favor of the reappointments of Mr. Daisy and Ms. Hoffman, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Same sign. Thank you very much. Are there any reports of boards, agencies, or commissions? Just a reminder that because it will happen before we have our next city council meeting, that we will have our MLK celebration on Monday, January 20th. We will line up for the motorcade at 10 a.m. Over by the memorial statue on the intersection of Gilbert and Main. We will proceed from there at 10:30, and then we will have the celebration over at St. James United Methodist Church on the corner of Williams and Vermilion, starting at 11:30 p.m. So hope you can join us for that. For the parade route, just know a number of us will be driving, so it will be a parade / motorcade as it has been in the last couple of years, especially because we never know what the weather will be like. So we hope that you can join us there. I've read the bio of our speaker, and she is a very powerful, has a lot of amazing experience. So I'm looking forward to what she challenges us with on that day. Items of information, some of them already been mentioned, but we've lost a number of stellar community members, people like Jerry Block and Terry Lake, who have done so much for this community. And I just want to take a moment to salute them and say that we appreciate everything you've done. Mr. Block served in a number of positions in this leadership positions in this community. And Mr. Lake, you couldn't have found a better volunteer. He was in everything, especially at the Fisher Theater, and he played a critical role in helping the Humane Society get back on its feet. So I just want to thank all of them for all the great work that they've done, and just know that our thoughts and prayers are with your families. So as you can see, we have with us our deputy clerk this evening, Rachel Hahn. Our clerk, Lisa Monson, welcomed in her first granddaughter just the other day, so she's over helping out. Madam Clerk, do we have any petitions, communications, or audience comments this evening?
We do. I have Pedro Linares of Danville regarding consumption lounge. If you can come to the microphone.
How are you all doing today?
Good, how are you?
I wish I could have properly introduced myself. My name is Pedro. I've been a resident of Danville for the past 15 years now. I was fortunate enough to move out of Chicago, come here, and was able to land a good opportunity at Columbia. So that's where I graduated from. I just wanted to say, I'm really passionate about the work that I do. I know that I work at a dispensary, not only a dispensary, but a vinyl record store as well. The thing that really pushed me to go into that was how much I love to help people. And I didn't realize, I know there's a stereotype that goes with cannabis, but I didn't realize until I started working in the dispensary how many people actually get the proper help that they need. Like, it's amazing to see how many people that are coming in from remission and stuff like that will come in and tell us that our edibles and our product is better than what these doctors are prescribing. And I can't recall how many times I've seen a prescription from an Indiana doctor telling their patient to come to our dispensary, purchase our edibles for pain management, stuff like that. That was a really big move for me when I decided to work at a dispensary, to be able to help people any way I can. Very passionate about that. And that leads me to bringing up that I think opening up the consumption lounge would really be able to take things to that next step, offering people a safe option to consume, a safe place to stay. You see a lot of people just out and about, and it's not the safest way to go about it. So that's another great reason to open the consumption lounge. I would like to thank all of you that have come out and visited us. I recognize a few of you. I hope the rest of you would definitely come and check us out, see what we're about. We run a very professional business there. We have a lot of different things going on besides the cannabis and vinyl. We do all types of events in our consumption lounge. That's what we still call it, our consumption lounge. I know right now we have a partnership going on with
The Danville Farmers Market?
yes, the Danville Farmers Market. No, they come in every other week, and it's such a great opportunity for us to help the community. I know in store we have so many snacks and different products that are non-infused from local companies that make these snacks. So we're trying to support the community in any way possible. You guys have our guidance and recommendation. You guys have our part 2 of our informational presentation with you. That's what we're giving to you guys today. We actually had Chief Gates come out and walk us through and give us some tips and advice on things that we can do to make it a more safe experience for everyone that comes in. He's Chief, I call him Coach. He was my coach for 8 years, so that's great to me. So the last thing I want to say is, like I said, we would definitely love to see all you guys come out. If there's any questions, I know we at the dispensary. I'm willing to answer this personally. So if you ever come in, you need help, assistance, anything, feel free to let us know.
Thank you, Mr. Linares.
Appreciate you guys.
That's all, I'm sorry.
Is there anyone else who wishes to address the council this evening? All right, thank you very much.
Barry.
Mr. Johnson.
Good evening, my name is Barry Johnson. And I hope that I'm not out of order anyway, but I just wanted to take a moment of silence for the reminder about our ninth president.
Oh, yeah.
Take a moment of silence.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Mr. Carter was an admirable man. I think a lot of us, we could learn a lot from him, especially his post-presidential work was amazing. The things he did not only in this country, but around the world were life-changing and generation changing for a lot of people. You do not have any zoning petitions for you this evening. However, you do have the payrolls of December 20th, December 27th, and January 3rd. Is there a motion to approve those?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion or debate? Roll call vote, please.
Alderman Butler,
Yes.
Wilson,
Yes.
Wands,
Yes.
Pashard,
Yes.
O'Kane,
Yes.
Iverson,
Yes.
Poor,
Yes.
Streebing, Pickering,
Yes.
Ludwig,
Yes.
Teague,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
York,
Yes.
Cooper,
Yes.
13 yes.
13 yes, the motion carries. You also have before you the vouchers payable of January 7th, as well as special runs from December 23rd and January 7th. Is there a motion to approve those?
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion or debate? Roll call vote, please.
Alderman Wilson,
Yes.
Wands,
Yes.
Pashard,
Yes.
O'Kane,
Yes.
Iverson,
Yes.
Poor,
Yes.
Streebing,
Yes.
Pickering,
Yes.
Ludwig,
Yes.
Teague,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
York,
Yes.
Cooper,
Yes.
Butler,
Yes.
14 yes.
14 yes, the motion carries. At this time, we will receive our Public Services Committee report. Chairman Streebing.
Okay, 11A, we have a resolution accepting a community service grant from the Evora leadership. I'll make the motion to approve and dispense with the reading and ask for approval. I'll need a second, please.
Second.
Is there any questions on 11A's resolution? If not, roll call, please.
Alderman Wands,
Yes.
Bouchard,
Yes.
O'Kane,
Yes.
Iverson,
Yes.
Poor,
Yes.
Strebing,
Yes.
Pickering,
Yes.
Ludwig,
Yes.
Teague,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
York,
Yes.
Cooper,
Yes.
Butler,
Yes.
Wilson,
Yes.
14 yes.
14 yes, thank you. The motion carries. Puts us 11B, have a resolution approving application for assistance to the firefighters grant, AFG. I'll make the motion to approve and dispense with the reading and ask for your approval. I'll need a second, please.
Second.
Is there any questions on 11B's resolution? If not, roll call, please.
Alderman Bouchard,
Yes.
O'Kane,
Yes.
Iverson,
Yes.
Poor,
Yes.
Strebing,
Yes.
Pickering,
Yes.
Ludwig,
Yes.
Teague,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
York,
Yes.
Cooper,
Yes.
Butler,
Yes.
Wilson,
Yes.
Wands,
Yes.
14 yes.
14 yes, thank you. The motion carries. Puts us 11C, we have a resolution renewing banking services for 1-year period. Make the motion to approve and dispense with the reading and ask for your approval. I'll need a second, please.
Second.
Is there any questions on 11C? Yes.
Is this a specific bank or we're dealing with or what?
Good evening. So this is our first financial bank that we've been with since, I believe, 2011. And I think you can see in the documentation here that it started in 2011 through 2000, or maybe 2012, I'm sorry, through 2017, and then got renewed in 2018 again, First Financial, through 2019. Nothing had been done since then, and it was brought to my attention that this needs to be addressed, and so I went ahead and addressed it. And that's where we stand right now. Is I'd like to get this renewed for another year until we can look at it a little bit further and then possibly go out for bid in the future to different banks in the area. But this is First Financial in Danville here.
Have we had pretty good business relations with?
Yeah, they have great service. I mean, I have an excellent rapport with the bank. We've negotiated a nice interest rate for the accounts that are able to have interest rate on them. And so all that was at least looked at to the best of my ability and to their ability to where we can move forward with continuing their service for another year.
Thank you.
Is there any other questions for our treasurer? If not, roll call, please.
Alderman O'Kane,
Yes.
Iverson,
Yes.
Poor,
Yes.
Strebing,
Yes.
Pickering,
Yes.
Ludwig,
Yes.
Teague,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
York,
Yes.
Cooper,
Yes.
Butler,
Yes.
Wilson,
Yes.
Wands,
Yes.
Bouchard,
Yes.
14 yes.
14 yes, thank you. The motion carries. Puts us to 11D. To accept and place on file November of 2023 and December 2023 Treasurer's Report. I'll make a motion to approve and dispense with the readings and ask for your approval. We'll need a second, please.
Second.
Is there any questions on 11D? Placing on file.
Chairman.
Yes. Yes, Vice Mayor.
So prior report, you provided us with, I know you'll recognize it, is this document that you put together that had, this probably would have been in September. It was a document where you showed, where we were with catching everything up. Could we get updated version of this?
Sure.
Because I know that there were some things that were open, so I'm assuming that as a result of the fact that this is November and December, that everything is closed through November and December obviously for general fund, because everything else was already posted. So this covers everything, and that you just needed to close out general fund in order to then provide everything for those periods.
That is correct.
Okay.
But
And
you're right. I can go ahead and update that, because going forward, there are some that are still not posted going forward of where I'm at right here. So I can get that updated.
okay. And then my next question, and I don't know whose responsibility it would be, whether that resides with you or the comptroller, but I know that one of the things that has come up in the conversations as it related to budget and whatnot is fund balances, because one of the things that I asked about was fund balances, and the information from the last audit, looking at those balances versus what was in the budget, and those numbers were different. And I know what was said was that we get updated reports, except the treasurer's report is a year behind. So we're not actually seeing current fund balances. So I would love for us to be able to see current fund balances, because obviously we're 12 months behind on where fund balances are. So we don't actually know the balances of each fund, especially as they get updated with new grants, money being spent, so on and so forth. It would be great to just be able to track that information, because the other reports that we're getting is only of general fund. So it doesn't show all of the other funds, which you're reporting, but this report, through no fault of yours, right? We know this, right? But this report is obviously a year behind. So a current fund balance report would be helpful, and I don't know where it would be appropriate for that to be presented. I'm assuming maybe the Public Services Committee meeting, since that's where all of the other financial reports and personnel reports or other things are happening. That would be good information for us to have.
Okay, that sounds good. Can
Okay,
I, I'll talk to Comptroller Sweeten about it and figure out where we stand on that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Is there any other questions for our treasurer? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye, accepting and place on file November and December 23rd treasurer's report.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you very much. Puts us to item information. The only thing I gotta ask is the fire chief, where's our truck? I mean, you know what? We should've just went out and bought a brand new one, because we waited another 6 or 8 months for it. This is ridiculous.
Yeah, the truck, they went and did another inspection about a week or so ago. Still did not pass the paint for the ladder. Other than that, it's all intents purposes is working and ready to go.
Do we have anything in that contract that we can get some money back? Because
well, that's what we're currently telling with them, that we're not sure that we're going to accept it at this point, unless because we don't feel like we're buying a new truck at this point. This is a 2021 chassis with 7,000 miles on it, so we're currently working with them to figure out what they want to do about discounting.
It's going to be used, but they try to drive it up here and everything else. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
So that's kind of what's going on in the stall currently at the moment. So we're supposed to have a meeting with them tomorrow about that. So
I'm not real happy.
No, yeah.
So thank you. That's all we have, Mayor.
Thank you, Chairman. This time we'll receive our Public Works Committee report, Chairman.
Thank you, Mayor. We will meet in these chambers next Tuesday, 6 p.m. Everyone's welcome. And I will have to ask the Vice Chairman to head that meeting. I'll be up in Chicago welcoming a new granddaughter.
There you go. Congratulations.
As long as you send us pictures.
Thank you. Thank
Alderman
you.
Cooper.
Yeah, Dave, what's the status of the Boozy Tower? I mean, they've got 8 months to do that, right?
Yeah, so
No activity going on.
we aren't completely under contract with them yet. So once everything is signed and official, we'll go under contract. We're currently waiting on some things to be finalized between us and the county, getting things finalized, and then we'll go from there.
My understanding is the Finance Committee passed the budget update yesterday or last night, and that should be coming to their full body next week.
So has that extended the deadline?
Yeah, it'll be 8 months from whenever we go under contract. I'll make sure and let you guys know the date. That way you kind of have an idea of when to expect things to be finished up.
Anything else, anybody? That concludes our report, Mayor.
Thank you, Chairman Poor. At this time, I will entertain a motion to go into closed session under Section 2C1 of the Open Meetings Act to discuss specific employees. Is there a motion to do so?
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion or debate? Roll call vote, Madam Clerk.
Alderman Poor,
Yes.
Strebe,
No.
Pickering,
Yes.
Ludwig,
Yes.
Teague,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
York,
Yes.
Cooper,
No.
Butler,
No.
Wilson,
Yes.
Wands,
Yes.
Fashard,
Yes.
O'Kane,
Yes.
Iverson,
Yes.
11 yes.
11 yes, we will go into closed session. I'll ask that you take the information that was provided at your seat with you, please. There will be no action taken after closed section.
I don't think we need to take that package.
No,
Or
just
the
that.
package from.
The look
Well,
on your face
unless-
is telling me. He switched them at the beginning of the meeting.
Doesn't take me much to push.
At this time, I will entertain a motion to return to open session.
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion or debate? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. All right, we have before us item 13A, a voting procedure discussion requested by Alderman O'Kane, and I will turn the floor over to Corporation Counsel.
So I know there's been some issues brought up, some concerns when we're voting on different matters. And I know that Alderman O'Kane has brought up the number of votes to pass ordinances. So what I've done is I've looked through our history. I've looked at Chapter 31 of our City Council. We also have our organization and rules of procedure of the City Council of Danville, Illinois. That was ordinance number 7647. And so the short version of this is ordinance 8642 back in 2009 deleted Chapter 31 in its entirety and replaced it with the current Chapter 31. If you look at 31.38, changing council rules, what it states is if a matter arises at a city council or oversight committee meeting which is not covered by this chapter, Chapter 31, or applicable provisions of federal or state law, the procedures of the city council shall be governed by the latest revised edition of Robert's Rules of Order. Well, if we look to state law, we're looking at the Illinois Municipal Code, 65 ILCS 5/3.1-40-40. And what it reads, and I will state that if you look at the Open Meetings Act, the Illinois Municipal Code, they're in conflict at times, sometimes they're vague, but I think what we can look to is this certain passage. All ordinances for whatever purpose to be passed, and any resolution or motion to create any liability against a city or for the expenditure or appropriation of its money shall require the concurrence of a majority of all members then holding office on the city council. So the number of members holding office is 14. And so the majority of that, when you have 14 members, is 8. So what's required is 8 votes. And then we get into, there's been some questions raised about when the mayor can and cannot vote. And 31.31 of our Chapter 31 states, the mayor shall not vote on any ordinance, resolution, or motion except when the vote of the alderman has resulted in a tie, which would be 7-7, or when 1/2 of the aldermen then holding office have voted in favor of an ordinance, resolution, or motion, even though there is no tie. 1/2 of the aldermen then holding office would be 7. So if there are 7 affirmative votes in favor of an ordinance, even though there's no tie, the mayor can vote. And it goes on, or when a vote greater than a majority of the city council is required by statute. The mayor shall not vote when the vote being taken is to override his veto. So I think where we're at is there needs to be 8 votes. I know, you know, in the past, I think there was some reliance on a majority of a quorum. And I think at this point, I know, I did a little research, and I know going back to May or June of 2023, there was discussions with council and some of the members of the council, and there were some proposals made. We do have proposals, and if you're going to make changes, we can do that. There are different reasons for requiring the majority of all the aldermen then holding office, or a majority of a quorum. And it's for you all to decide how difficult is it going to be to conduct business if, for example, here in Danville, 8 council members are required for a quorum. You can try and conduct business, but you would need unanimous votes. You would need all 8, because it requires that many to pass any ordinance, motion, or resolution. Or do you want to conduct business based on a majority of a quorum? And that could be any number between 8 and 14. So we can make change. I'm sorry. Yes.
Yes, Vice Chairman.
And Bob and Alderman Vice Chairman Iverson and myself, we are the ones that tried to instigate this to get some clarification on the rules as far as does it take 8, or does it take a majority of those aldermen in attendance at that particular meeting? That's what we were trying to do, trying to get clarification, and we talked to previous Corporation Counsel Simon. He's the one that actually suggested that it would be based on majority of the aldermen present would pass the vote, which you can't supersede the law of the state, which is 8. But we were trying to get something to clarify chapter 31 or whatever it is in our codes and things, but it kind of just, due to lack of interest and things, we just kind of pulled it and said, you know what, don't anybody waste their time anymore, you know? Well, which we probably shouldn't have done. We probably should have said, let's get this thing solved once and for all, so we all know what the rules are and aren't.
Vice Chairman Iverson.
The state talks about a majority of the full group. Is there any mention of like the committees? Because if you take a committee by the same logic, all of those elected on the committee, that would be 7 on the committee. So it would take 4 to get something on the committee. But we've had things passed with 3 because we were going with the majority of a quorum. So was that correct? Or do we need to have a majority of everyone, like Public Services has 7 members, they need 4 votes?
4 votes.
4 votes?
Well, those are more of a
Yes,
recommendation to go to the whole council. That's not actual law.
That's true.
Our ordinance says that they're advisory committee, so they just make, as Alderman O'Kane stated, you just are recommending whether to pass this or not to pass this. So it's not as critical there, thankfully, because everything goes to the city council regardless either way.
And to pay bills, it's already been approved a year prior. The budget and everything else.
Vice Mayor Teagan, and I got you.
So what does this do for the things that we voted on, that the minutes we just approved that said that they were approved, but they passed with votes of 7? And also the thing, and I don't even know what it was, I meant to call the clerk to find out, but whatever it was that was in June where Alderman O'Kane originally brought this up, where we passed something that was with 7.
We had 7.
It's a vapor company.
Well, it was gonna tie because it was 7. 7 yes, we need an 8th. right?
On the previous item, Vice Mayor, I stated that based on advice of council, I didn't believe I needed to vote, but I would vote in the affirmative to pass it, so that would pass. The June motion that you're thinking of. The other ones, though, it's my understanding from Corporation Council that we will have to reconsider those.
You got the availability of 2 votes, 2 people that weren't here, right?
Pardon?
You got the availability of 2 people that weren't here when we voted.
That's correct, yes, sir.
So you got a chance of passing it.
Yes,
But,
yes, sir. That's correct.
my main interest is just, I want to keep us
Make sure that we do
going
it
right
right.
down the line. And
I
I don't
appreciate
like
it.
the 8-vote deal many a time. But it also scares me that 8 people can pass an ordinance on something with 5 people, and 5 people out of 14 is just scary too.
Alderman, one thing that some other communities have done is they've set, a minimum vote by passage. Like ours says 8, you could say 7, or you could say 6. That way, if you only had 10 people there. But I'm saying if 8 is too high, you don't have to. And if we do it by a majority of a quorum, I know one of the things that we've talked about that you and I share a concern about is if there were only 8 people here and 5 people voted for something, then it could still pass, which could be a real problematic.
People could add a $3
right
tax on something.
But you could go somewhere between that, between that 5 and 8. I mean, as home rule, we have the right to decide what we want that number to be.
But do you, vote? I mean, that's
by state law, we have home rule to determine how we vote. So
Okay. Please read that, because there may be some exceptions for home rule that we can't do.
Yeah, the reason the Illinois Municipal Code kicks in is because we don't address it in our Home Rule Chapter 31.
which is what you guys were trying to do.
And our Chapter 31 states, if it's not addressed, you go to federal or state, and if that doesn't address it, then Robert's Rules. Robert's Rules would say majority of a quorum, but we don't get there because the Illinois Municipal Code does address it. And so it resolves it for us. We can change that. You can change that. Just a matter of
8 votes.
if you want to do it and how do you want to do it. Right.
8 votes.
Vice Mayor?
I have a question for Corporation Council, because you started off reading a bunch of different things and it had sections and dates and whatnot. Was all the information that you were reading, was that from our ordinances, or was that a combination of our ordinances and some other stuff from state law?
Our ordinances, I started off with our ordinances. I referenced 8642, 7647, which really just addressed our Chapter 31, and that was passed back on May 4th of 93.
Vice Mayor, I could have Corporation Council also provide a memo for us if that would be helpful.
That would definitely be helpful. Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Vice Mayor, did you have anything else?
No, that was basically it. I was following, and then I was like, I'm not holding my pen, and I couldn't keep up, and I was trying to just keep track. So
It's confusing. I can send an email out.
okay.
Vice Chairman Pickering.
My question was answered about the home rule. We are home rule, so we can change this
We can
this
change
vote.
our chapter.
Yes, we can change it, so, yes. And I think we need to. I think 8 is way too much.
Yes, Chairman, and then I'll.
Was, a lot of this the dissent decree spelled out some of this the way we vote too, right? Didn't the dissent decree in '89 spell out some of our rules, told us what form of government we'd be under, and things, as far as Illinois Compiled Statute Chapter 65 or 65, 5, are we 5-3 or 5-5?
Chairman, it implements the form of government that we must have.
Yeah.
But
I know there.
Yeah, I don't think it tells us of.
But it doesn't
5-3,
tell us,
5-5.
Uh,
It's is it strong mayor form, weak alderman form? Is it strong alderman form, weak mayor form? Because I think we're supposed to be 5. I can't remember if it's 5-3 or 5-5. As And of course, Chicago has their own whole
Yeah, they're their own world.
Vice Mayor.
So obviously we have to pass a budget regardless, which means that comes back. But for the local motor fuel tax, I'm assuming then that would need to change from it passed to it failed because it did not get the proper number of votes.
Yes, so the local motor fuel tax would need to be addressed. And so currently, I think we're taxing at 14.7, which was, well, passed with 7 votes, which means it didn't. We were working under the presumption that it did pass.
Yeah,
So right now, I think we're currently taxing at 14.7. But since we
still be up at.
But since it hasn't passed with the required 8 votes, what's currently in effect is 19.9 cents. So we're either going to have to readdress it, or we just go to 19.9 cents.
The 19.9 is the 2% add-on to, because it would be 14.
We'd be 11.2 or 3 if we were still going with Part B.
And then we would add 2% because that's what the ordinance said before.
2% based on
whatever the
whatever
increase
the
was.
state- yeah.
So yeah, the calculation wouldn't be 19.2. I think it would have been
That was a proposal.
13.1, or there was a table that I know I have put together a table that I had provided to everybody in email, and I don't remember if I calculated beyond this year, but it would be based on the old formula and not the new formula.
Right, but we'd be up somewhere around 11.5 cents right now for the new year. Regardless, that was built into it in 2009, 2008, when it was first passed.
Well, I think we'd be applying the two parts, the A and the B, which I believe
A and
would.
B, that's.
Correct, that's what
the
we
total
currently have.
Motor
if we-
fuel use tax, which is
Correct,
Part A and Part B.
correct.
But no, but what we've been charging was
It's
not
just Part
based,
B.
was just Part B. So if the ordinance was based on what we currently had and we don't pass a new ordinance, then what we currently had, which was just Part B, would just be an increase on Part B based on the increase that was done by the state.
Right.
No, well, what we currently have, our ordinance was Part A and B. We just weren't taxing both.
Never specified A or B, it just said the gas tax.
And the calculation that, I understand what you're saying in terms of the wording, but the calculation, the way it had been calculated since its inception, was only Part B.
Correct.
So if we continue to do what we had been doing, is what I'm saying, then it would just be the 2%.
But actually, if we go back to the way the ordinance was written, we would be taxing now on A and B.
Correct. What we were doing was wrong.
As of our interpretation of what was written.
On the original, if you read the original ordinance, how it says, we will charge, doesn't specify any part. It just says we will charge.
Yeah. You can call it the as of our interpretation, but it's the correct interpretation. As we've written our ordinance, and keep in mind, how the state taxes is not how we tax. We tax pursuant to our ordinance, A and B, not the way the state taxes differently. We don't do that.
No, I understood that part.
Okay.
I was saying that our ordinance refers to the states. That's why I brought up the states. Because our ordinance says based upon, and it cites the state law sections. And so then the rate comes from the state law sections. That was what I meant when I was referring to the state.
Yeah.
Vice Chairman.
My question is, why would we have to go back and vote again? If we do that, would we have to go back and re-vote on everything we voted on?
No,
I mean,
we should only.
What's do you say to that? I mean, why do we have to go back to the two that we were just discussing?
Well, it requires 8 votes.
But what about the other ones we voted on years ago? Or in the, I mean, that
Yeah.
doesn't make sense. Why do we go back two? Why would we have to go back two? Just two? I don't understand that.
Oh, I'm not saying you just have to go back to. What I'm saying now is, I'm advising you of what it takes to pass our ordinances,
Right,
how many
correct.
votes.
Right.
And if you want to look into not just the motor fuel tax and the budget recently,
Assistant Corporation Counsel, I believe what Mrs. Pickering is asking you is if we were operating under the advisement of the previous Corporation
Correct.
Council and we passed it according to that, she's saying, why do we have to revisit it?
Right, correct. Thank you.
My understanding is you're saying we need to revisit it because we didn't follow the proper, we didn't get we did not meet the appropriate vote threshold. Is that correct?
correct.
But if we don't meet the appropriate vote threshold, it just means that it failed. That the only things that we should be revoting on are things that we are required to do. So for example, if the levy did not pass, we have to pass a levy, which means there might be modifications or something that would get made, and then we bring it back and we vote on it again. And we have to pass a budget because we're required by state law to pass a budget by a specific time frame. So the budget failed. We have to address it, and then we have to bring it back based on whatever gets addressed, and we have to vote again. But anything else that we voted down, by whatever number we voted down, those things got voted down, because we're also not bringing up the things that were 5 to 7, because they also didn't reach the proper threshold. So whether or not it was 7 to 5 or 5 to 7 or 6 to 6 should not matter unless the thing that we're having to vote on is something that we are required by law to do. That's what, I mean, that is my understanding of how government is supposed to work.
The bottom line, though, is, correct me if I'm wrong, but the way I've understood you to say this, Corporation Counsel, though, is if we do not revisit this issue, we don't have to even, if we don't revisit the issue, then that's going to force our gas tax to be inordinately higher than it was. It's going to be 20 cents versus 14 point something percent.
Correct.
And I personally don't think that we can afford to pass that kind of tax along onto our people, period.
We can also vote to change everything.
That's
right.
correct.
That's right.
Because the only reason this ever came to the council was because of the ASVAR settlement. That's the only reason. This has been going on every year in the budget, automatic 2% increase. The only reason it ever came to this council for a revisit was because we were trying to figure out a way to pay ASVAR.
But also you heard
with their guidance that you should be charging Part A and B.
But you also heard former Director Arons and former Comptroller Gail Brandon say that it was something that was wrong and that it should have been corrected a long time ago. That it should have been clarified, and they meant to, but they just never did.
And that's the reason it came back. It was to come, okay, how are we going to pay ASVAR? How are we going to get this language correct so that in the future there's no question on what part we are taxing?
Chairman, in my mind, in some ways, it's similar to the 8-vote threshold, and making sure that it's very clear so that as we move forward, we don't create these kind of problems for ourselves again.
So, correct me if I'm wrong, gas tax is not passed then, right? And the budget is not passed yet.
No.
Everything in the
We
past,
voted for it.
huh?
We passed it.
Well, the
Oh, we
tax
didn't.
levy is the only thing that really passed.
We didn't hit the 8 votes.
Oh, because of the 8, okay.
Oh.
So we don't have a budget. Gas tax hadn't been passed.
Well, we have a budget until May.
The budget
Well, till
doesn't-
May, right, but I mean, one we passed the other day is not passed, so everything in the last, 2 years?
That's my point.
We haven't
Well, I mean,
had
if there's a
anything.
testy issue where it's been 7 to 5 and we passed it, that might need to be revisited too. I mean, well, yeah.
I don't know
it's
how
not
far back
legal
to go
vote.
with
There have only been 3 votes since I've been mayor.
In the last year anyway.
Yeah.
So you're,
Okay.
John, you're saying any vote that didn't have at least 8.
It's probably
is
not
did
legal.
not pass.
That's right.
Because
You
it
know,
takes
if ASVAR's gonna come and say, we're not doing tax right, somebody's gonna come up to us and say, we're not doing our votes right.
And we've been sued for such before.
Yeah, this should have been corrected a long time ago.
Yes, it should have been, and you know what I would say is there are some of us who have been on the council in each decade for the last 4 decades, and it's never been corrected yet.
We tried hard.
I'm glad that these 2 tried hard, and I'm really glad that we're working
And I
hard to
have a
get it
copy
corrected.
of what we were
What we-
supposed to
yeah.
change. I
Exactly.
went and got
Yeah.
it. It was
So-
supposed to be changed.
What's our recourse here?
our recourse is to, as the Corporation Council advised us, that we have to vote on the budget again. And if we don't want the gas tax to go up, that we need to address that as well.
One of the no votes would have to request, no? I thought that, not on this one?
Not for a budget.
That's how we used to do, we get a no vote to say, okay, I'll bring it, I'll request it be brought back. They change their vote to a yes, and
So what ordinance is that following? Because we've been having lots of conversation based on what people think, and I would like to make sure that we follow the law, because that's how we got in this process and the situation.
that was,
First place.
that was from Corporation Counsel Simon. How do you bring back a something that failed for another vote? It takes one of the no vote aldermen to request it, to
No,
bring back.
From Robert's rule?
Unless you.
I think you're
But I think
talking about a motion.
probably our timeline, because it had to be before, what, the next full meeting or something, or,
A motion to reconsider
yeah.
You can
would,
Yes.
would require that to occur at the next meeting,
Yeah, that's
which
what I was
is
thinking,
tonight.
timeline.
But you can bring this matter back. You can place it on the agenda at the next council meeting.
Bring which
You make-
matter
if you
back?
make- If you said if you make alterations
Yeah,
to it.
yeah, you can't bring the same,
think it was me.
same thing back, but with some modifications, it can be placed on the agenda and you can vote on these matters.
So is somebody gonna look at all the 7 vote items that passed?
There's only 3.
No, I mean, in the past year.
There's only 3. The 2 from last week and the one that O'Kane brought up in June, as far as I can recall.
That's the only ones he brought up. It could
I'll
have
have
been more.
I'll have our city clerk investigate that for you.
So what are we doing about the budget? Doesn't really make any difference. Got till May to do that. What about the gas tax? Wasn't there a letter sent out on the gas tax saying such and such is gonna take effect here? So that letter is pretty much null and void then.
Yeah, and they'll see a bigger increase that they have to charge.
I
Not
don't
necessarily, I mean, we
I
could
don't
vote
plan-
again, the same
I don't plan to change the tax increase until this council provides further advisement, because if I changed it according to our rules right at this time, people are gonna be charged around 21 cents a gallon, and we're not gonna do that, unless you think that's the best road to go. Hell, if you think that's the best
But we
road,
can go back to what we passed and reconsider, that was what, 14 cents?
Yes,
What,
but that's what I'm saying,
Right.
Vice Chairman, is to go back to that so that we can get something that's reasonable
And
and
that'd be a
fair
real interesting vote.
for our people.
And it's not a reconsideration, it would just be a new matter,
A new
which you
matter.
can address
Right.
as soon as you
That
want.
was combined with ASPAR, wasn't
All right, having satisfied the agenda, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Sick.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. We are adjourned.
it? Take 66 cents, 2%.